Since his inauguration on May 29, President Muhammadu Buhari has made trips within and outside the continent in a bid to activate his inaugural statements. Perhaps he believes the trips, especially to high-powered countries, will aid his success in actualizing his resolve to smoke out insurgency in the northeast region of Nigeria. At every meetings with his host countries, discussions mainly border on tackling the Boko Haram threat and corruption, seen as a bane to the country's development.
Voluntarily agreeing to participate in Lake Chad Basin Commission deployment of our troops to make sure that the terrorists Boko Haram do not extend this way.
After a high-powered meeting with delegates from neighboring Chad and Niger on the ongoing collaborative war against Boko Haram, President Buhari paid a working visit to Germany in June with a wish list for Nigeria on issues of security, terrorism, and development. The group of 7, known as G7 industrialized countries, had requested President Buhari comes with a list of major talking points for them to consider. The president seems confident in the planned support by the G7 leaders.
So nice to see you. Congratulations. Thank you. Becky, very pleased to see you. Looking forward to hosting you.
His 4-day working visit to the United States of America on President Barack Obama's request also dwells on issues of insecurity and terrorism, with emphatic resolve to locate stolen monies stashed in foreign accounts back to the country's coffers.
We'll ever remain grateful to, because other than other 3 fundamental objectives that our party identified, the All Nigeria People's Congress, or that security, economy, that employment, especially of youth, and then fighting corruption. We are extremely happy that the United States had made it absolutely clear, even before the elections, that they are prepared to help Nigeria in this aspect, and that's why I am here, and I'm very grateful for the invitation Mr. President extended to me.
We're looking forward to discussing how we can be helpful in addressing some of the corruption issues that have held Nigeria back and unleashing the incredible talent of the Nigerian people. We all recognize that some of the best business people in the world are from Nigeria, and they thrive as they travel to other countries, but we want to make sure that they're also helping folks thrive in Nigeria.
Again, the president makes another 3-day working trip to France. Discussions here with the French president at the Élysée Palace in Paris is also worth the while, as President François Hollande pledges his government support in assisting the multinational joint task force with intelligence gathering and military equipment to combat terrorism in Nigeria and the West African region. According to President Hollande, there are plans to increase the visibility of its investors in Nigeria. There are reports that France has concluded arrangements to invest 130 million euros in the development of infrastructure in Nigeria for rebuilding of roads, the provision of electricity, and increased water access.
It's important that those countries of Lake Chad Basin Commission, they can be in a position by the next meeting in May next year to ensure that Boko Haram has been routed.
France last year hosted a regional summit on security in Paris, which brought together the neighboring countries to chart the way forward. At a meeting with the Nigerian community in Paris, President Buhari discloses that the government is negotiating with the Boko Haram sect with the view to securing the release of the over 200 schoolgirls abducted in Chibok, Borno State. The negotiation is yet to be fruitful, as the president says one of the conditions given by the group is to release one of its members who had been strategic in developing improvised explosive devices, IEDs, a demand that the government would not accept. This recent revelation may have raised eyebrows as to why such information germane to Nigerians is revealed outside the shores of the country.
Change from where we are to where we have to get to involves a discursive process of leaders talking to Nigerians. The idea of always hearing things from our president when he's outside the country is offensive. Change is important. We've got to confront it. We need change in order to achieve integrity. We need change for accountability. We need change for a developed country. We need a leadership that will not take Nigerians for granted. We need a leadership that will trust our people, speak to our people like we are mature, speak to us like we own this country.
Foreign affairs analyst Dr. Charles Dokubo believes the move so far made by the president in seeking support from his foreign counterparts and world powers is a step in the right direction. Dr. Dokubo agrees alongside other notable Nigerians that the fight against insurgency cannot be done locally.
I think every president will have to travel because bearing in mind the country we are in and the problems we are facing, there's a lot to be discussed outside. And also for a new president, it is really time for him to go to endear himself with all these nations that are very pivotal to the success of our fight against Boko Haram. Most of these countries that he has visited are countries that are also fighting against insurgency in one form or the other in their homeland or within the African continent. So it wasn't a bad move. It was a very opportune and timely move for him to visit France, which has a lot of post-colonial territories in Africa, and still have a lot of links with this. In some of these countries, you have French troops being stationed. So definitely there was this need for him to go there, to talk with them, to raise the issues of insecurity in the sub-region. Because it's no longer a Nigerian issue again. It's an issue for the sub-region. So it will be quite necessary for him to take steps so that he could just contain and slowly but surely eradicate these threats posed by Boko Haram to Nigeria's security.
You cannot put a time limit on when he's going to solve all the problems and face the challenges of our country. But I think the important thing is the way he has started. I'm not authorized to speak for the government. I have affinity with the government, but I have no authority to speak for them. But I think if just as a Nigerian looking, I think the right priorities he has set is about defeating Boko Haram, addressing the environment which makes such a deadly force possible, and then organizing a coalition of neighboring countries and the most powerful countries in the world to see that Boko Haram and violent extremism is a common challenge which has to be commonly addressed and defeated. but also the economy and the issue of corruption. He campaigned on them to deal with corruption, to get the economy moving again, and he was elected on the basis of defeating, dealing with the security challenges and addressing corruption, and I believe he intends to honor his pledge made by him and by his party.
Well, we've been having relationships, but we've never had relationships as concretized as they are beginning to be now. Starting with the firm arrangements that he has succeeded in making with our immediate neighbors. The joint force that is now combating Boko Haram did not exist before. Before, it was possible for Boko Haram insurgents to strike in Nigeria, take refuge either in Cameroon or in Chad or even in Niger. But that no longer happens because the forces of the countries are now jointly tackling the insurgents. So that's one concrete result. And then there's secondly, remember that our last administration was denied some of the key armaments that it required for fighting insurgents. I believe that the recent visit of President Buhari to Washington will produce a result in terms of giving us access to some of those arms that were formerly denied to Nigeria.